I'm Josh Light with PoliticIt.com here in Michigan with Ken Proctor. He's running for Congress as a Libertarian in District 7. How you doing, Ken?
Good, thank you.
So, Ken, tell me big differences between you and your competitors in this race.
Well, the biggest difference, I think, is the fact that I'm an anti-war candidate. Back in 2002, I was involved in a political contest, and this was the run-up to the war in Iraq. I got to watch in a political forum while the incumbent Republican got up and said, we must go to war with Iraq. And the Democrat basically got up and concurred. When it was my turn, I had the opportunity to get up and say, no, we should not go to war with Iraq. It's not constitutional. It's not moral. And I've never had to feel badly about that stand because time has proven me right.
Ken, why is there a gridlock in Congress, and how would you fix it, assuming that you win in November?
The biggest gridlock in Congress is because the Democrats and Republicans are putting forth all their energies into maintaining their power status quo. Nothing changes. Rather than resolving some of the problems that we have, rather than changing the direction of our country, they are locked in this back and forth fight to maintain power and control over individuals and their money. Basically, the American people are pawns in this game, and a lot of people are waking up to the fact that this is a lose-lose game, and the only way to win is to vote Libertarian.
Ken, do you feel civil liberties have been infringed upon recently?
Absolutely. Actually even before 9/11, but since 9/11 we've seen a huge war against civil liberties. It's like the Democrats and Republicans don't seem to care about the Constitution anymore. We have things like the Patriot Act that I just strongly oppose. We have the National Defense Authorization Act. And there's a component of that terrible piece of legislature that was actually written by our senator here in Michigan, Carl Levin, that allows the government to detain American citizens without trial, without a lawyer, indefinitely. So for Carl Levin to promote setting up concentration camps for Americans, I find that just unbelievable. But that is what it is. And so if you're not willing to protect the Constitution and vote for people that do so, then you're part of the problem.
Ken, how has your experience prepared you for Congress?
I have studied economics. I have studied politics. I have been involved in politics myself, so I've had to been up to speed on a lot of issues. And I've had to watch for the bigger picture on a lot of issues. And one of the things I see is the fact that the Democrats and the Republicans are taking us in the same direction. They're kind of like two parallel paths where we've got a president who is more of a warmongering socialist, and we've got a challenger who is more of a warmongering neocon. But the ultimate destination for this nation is financial collapse. We cannot continue with the wars that we've got. They are squandering American money and blood. We need to concentrate on our economy. And presently we have a corporatism in this country. That's when corporations and politicians get together as a team, and guess who the losers are? This has brought us to a point where we've got government bailing out those that are too big to fail, even because they've failed because of their own corruption and their own illegal actions. So we've got a position in America presently where most of Americans feel that this country is on the wrong path. And if you look at the beliefs of Governor Romney and President Obama, there's no change in our present path. There's a little tweaking around the edges. Nobody wants to take government out of health care. Nobody wants to take government out of the Americans' bedrooms or their pocketbooks. And until we change that course, we're looking toward the cliff.
Ken, how is your campaign going?
Campaign's going good, but this year is kind of extraordinary in the fact that the Republicans have went out of their way to shut out any third parties or independents as far as their voices or opinion. That was seen with the Ron Paul people during the Republican convention. It was seen here in Michigan when the Republicans kept our candidate Gary Johnson off the Michigan ballot because of a arcane law and the fact that the Johnson campaign was 3 minutes late getting his name removed from the primary ballot. So it tied into the sore loser law, which allowed the Republicans to keep his name off the ballot. Republicans have went out of their way to discredit any challengers to their power, and I was hopeful with the Ron Paul and the Tea Party people coming up, but I knew in the bottom of my heart that change does not happen within, that change has to happen from without. And the Republican Party, unless something changes and people start voting for real choices like the Libertarian Gary Johnson, nothing changes. In the last 50 years for an average voter, whether they voted for a Democrat or a Republican, nothing really changed for the better. We are worse off every election cycle than we were the election cycle before. This will continue as long as Americans are foolish enough to vote for Democrats or Republicans.
Ken, where can people go to learn more about you?
Online, basically. I don't have a website myself this year, but if you type in, like a Google search, Ken Proctor, put a comma there, and then Libertarian, you'll come up with all kinds of stuff, video and statements that I have made in the past. I'm consistent. I believe that the individual has sovereignty over their own life, their own efforts, their own money and income. So in order to get us back into that position where the individual has more freedom, we have to reduce the size and the power of the government.
Thanks, Ken.
You're welcome.